The Paris Olympiad. We actually going to have to send ACs there? Hmm. We'll touch on that and more. You're watching and listening to BS3 Presents The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. Let's go. Well, good morning, Shifter. It is Tuesday. That's right, Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. And welcome to BS3 Presents The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. I am your host, Cole Johnson. And for the next 60 minutes, sit back, relax as I get and keep you, let me see, informed, enlightened, educated, even inspired a bit, and spiritually fed. Along with the Olympiad, which is now 31 days away, we'll touch on Jimmy Carter and his hospice care. Why is it seemingly that he is the exception to the norm? We'll also touch on confidence and faith. They actually have a tie with one another? All of those, they're for later. But for now, let's start you up. And here's what's taking place in the world today. A Florida federal judge is hearing arguments on whether to gag former President Donald Trump after he heard President Joe Biden was, quote, locked and loaded, close quote, to kill him during an FBI raid of Trump's Mar-a-Lago club while he was away. Trump said in the campaign fundraising email, quote, Joe Biden was locked and loaded and ready to take me out and put my family in danger, close quote. That was one of only a handful of statements Special Counsel Jack Smith noted in requesting the gag order in the Florida federal court case, criminal case that is, that charges Trump with willfully retaining national defense information. Trump cited language tied to the search warrant that prohibited using force unless there was a reasonable belief that the target posed, quote, an imminent danger of death or serious physical injury, close quote. Smith's team says that it is routine to actually restrict the use of force and that the raid was scheduled when Trump and his family would be out of town. Is humanity prepared to face down an asteroid with a 72% chance of hitting Earth, say, around 2038? Scientists and experts say there's work to be done. Now, when NASA posed a hypothetical scenario devised by the Planetary Defense Coordination Office to a group of nearly 100 government officials and representatives, they found their plan to combat an asteroid hurtling toward Earth had several, quote, high-level gaps, close quote, according to a NASA slide presentation. Space officials said they have limited readiness to quickly implement needed space missions and methods to keep the public informed about a looming disaster not fully developed. Jerry Seinfeld is hitting back as he continues to face interruptions from pro-Palestinian protesters. Say that aloud and say that 3 times fast. The comedian responded on stage after hecklers shouted out at him during a stand-up performance in Melbourne on Saturday, according to a video shared by 9 News Melbourne. Near the end of Seinfeld's performance, a group of protesters started chanting, quote, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, close quote. Seinfeld fired back at the hecklers, and he has been heckled by pro-Palestinian protesters at multiple recent shows, quote, you're back. They're back. The protesters are back. I missed you. Close quote. Speaking of former stars in the 90s and the 2000s taking back the stage, Will Smith is taking back the mic. He will perform a new song at the 2024 BET Awards this coming Sunday, the network announced on Monday. The show, which will be hosted by Taraji P. Henson, that will be airing Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. Victoria Monet, Glorilla, Ice Spice, Lotto, Miss Lauryn Hill herself, YG Marley, Sexy Red, Shabuze, and Tyler are among the other performers of this year's award show, and BET will bestow the Lifetime Achievement BET Award to Usher. Details on Smith's new release and performance. They are, let me see. There's a scare, says LeBron James's hairline. A deputy investigating a stolen car was shot to death Saturday night in Detroit in what many authorities call an ambush. Oakland County Sheriff's Department's deputy, Bradley Reckling, a detective who was following a stolen vehicle, when several individuals exited the vehicle and shot him in the head and chest, according to the agency's preliminary investigation. And unfortunately, he was dead on arrival at the hospital. Yeah. Pirates of the Caribbean actor and lifeguard Tamayo Perry has died at age 49 after an apparent shark attack. The Honolulu Medical Examiner's Office confirmed Perry's death in an email to USA Today on Monday. The cause and manner of the death are still pending autopsy results. The attack reportedly occurred off the island of Oahu on Sunday afternoon, authorities told Associated Press and CNN. Prayers to the family and friends of one Mr. Perry. A Chicago woman has gone missing in the Bahamas after not being seen since last week. Police say that the 41-year-old woman is being searched for by the Royal Bahamas Police Force, according to a Facebook post that the department shared on Friday. She was last seen on June 19th in the area of Paradise Island in Nassau, and police say that it is unclear what clothing she may have had on or even if she's in danger. USA Today contacted the Royal Bahamas Police Force on Monday, but has not received a response. Elon Musk has a third child with Neuralink executive Siobhan Sills earlier this year, according to reports. The founder of Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink and Zills already have twins together, and the two now had another child earlier this year, according to Bloomberg, who first reported this on Friday. Neuralink and Tesla did not immediately respond to USA Today's request for comment. Musk also confirmed the child would page 6 while denying it was all a secret. In sports, Colorado football coach Deion Sanders says his team is better on and off the field than last year, and that he plans to stay at Colorado long after his sons leave for the NFL. Minnesota Timberwolves coach Chris Finch and the team agreed on a 4-year contract extension that will take him through the 2028 season, sources told ESPN on Monday. And congratulations to the Florida Panthers, who, with a 2-1 victory over the Edmonton Oilers, they avoided history, being one of the teams to actually give up a 3-0 series lead and lose. They gave up a 3-0 series lead, but they hoisted Lord Stanley's Cup this past, well, I should say Monday night. It was their first in the team's 3-decade history. Congratulations to Florida. Also, congratulations to Edmonton. I know the Oilers, who they're a young and up and rising team. They took it on the chin, but they fought to the end. Too bad they just couldn't take advantage of power play opportunities and empty netters. Anyway, turning our attention to weather across the country as powered by the Weather Channel. It will be sunny and 78 in Seattle, which sounds real strange from that area, but congratulations, you'll see nothing but sun there today. It will be partly cloudy and 85 in Minneapolis. Thunderstorms and 91 in Chicago. Rain in 83 in Detroit, mostly sunny, and a high of 102 in St. Louis. Over in the East Coast, it will be mostly sunny in 89 in Boston, mostly sunny in 91 in New York, mostly sunny in 93 in DC. It will be a sun and thunderstorm mix with a high of 87 in Miami, sunny in 96 in Atlanta, mostly sunny in 99 in Memphis. It will be a sun and thunderstorm mix with a high of 92 in New Orleans. Over in the Southwest, it will be partly cloudy, 96 in San Antonio, mostly sunny and 98 in Dallas, partly cloudy and 95 in Houston. Over in the Rockies, it will be mostly sunny and 98 in Denver. It will be in the desert, the high spot of the country, partly cloudy and 110 in Phoenix. It'll be mostly sunny and 109 in Las Vegas. And over on the West Coast, it will be rainy and 65 in the Bay Area. And over in the City of Angels, it will be partly cloudy skies with a high of 84 degrees. And that's your look on weather for today. And now you have been properly started up. Later on the program, we will touch on the Olympic Village in Paris. It's in need of air conditioning. We'll touch on that and more on that story. And also, confidence and faith. How does that intertwine? But coming up next, the hospice care of Jimmy Carter seems to be something that defies logic and possibly even science. Why is that the case? Well, we'll touch on that when you return. This is the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. We're live on BS3TVLive.com and on the Real Wise Radio Network. We'll be right back right after this.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to do a TED Talk, but I don't have anything to talk about yet. I'm getting there.
Life is for the living. We're not here that long.
You can learn anything you want to learn without any money spent.
What do I really enjoy? What do I really want out of life?
I am your host, WIZE.
Are you in a life holding pattern? Well, this is for you. Welcome to the Stuck in My Mind podcast. Live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central. Alicia.
You can't hold somebody to that standard if you haven't voiced what you want and what you're needing from that.
Mika.
If you're not communicating expectations, you're waiting for your feelings to be hurt.
Nicole.
Yeah. A lot of people don't want to take the time out to be alone and to get themselves together.
Ivan.
You got to be willing to work through stuff. And from the jump street, y'all done had problems. Maybe you don't need to be working through those.
BS3 Network proudly presents Queen 3 and King podcast. Live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central. Welcome back to the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. We are live on the BS3 Network. We're also live on the Real Wise Radio Network as well. You can see me on the BS3 TVLive.com. You can also see me live on YouTube, the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel, and you can hear me live on Real Wise Radio. It is great that you're here, Shifter. I'm glad your day has started off right because you're here, because I'm here, and we get to share that together. To Shift Nation we go, and Ryan McCarthy, No Credentials Required fame. Catch their program tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, if you're into sports and into sports movies as well, since I believe that's what they are covering for this month of June. He says, good morning, fellow shifters. Good morning to you, my shifter. I appreciate you always showing up, class personified. Oh, and send my regards to Dustin. I know he probably took last night's loss hard, the Oilers fan that he is. But I hope that he can be proud that this team probably can build just a little bit more, and they may end up hoisting Lord Stanley's Cup as soon as next year. But yes, congratulations to his Oilers. Unfortunately, they fell short, and I hope that he has a rosy, I guess you could say, thought process with taking the defeat to the Panthers last night. The playmaker who, on the other end, who is anything Florida, and I sort of tease him about this. Everything Florida, college or pro, he's a fan of, with the exception of Florida State. He says, morning shift. It's the morning shift with Cole Johnson. Thank you, sir. You do me such honor, as Victor Locke would say. Wonderful job last night on Monarchs of Wrestling. And with those who are unaware, you can catch him with Cool McCain, Monarchs of Wrestling, Monday nights or Monday evening, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central on the Real Play Callers YouTube channel and the Shady Sports Network YouTube channel. And also he does Shooting Lights Out. And he also did a Shooting Lights Out episode yesterday as well. And starting next month, he will probably dig in the football portion of what he covers in Bearing Down the Gridiron, where he talks about all things college football. And of course, Ramley Talk will be the NFL offerings that he does. That will take place sometime in August. You can find that on the Playmakers Blog Network YouTube channel. And speaking of someone who covers sports thoroughly, my man Snowman, SITM's own Snowman in the morning. Snowman Multimedia says, good morning. Shifter Snowman here, and great to see you, my brother. It's great to see you too. And I think he'll be on today sometime around, I think, 10 a.m. Eastern. And of course, I'm sure they'll be talking about the Stanley Cup. And I know that Shane and Victor and Droid, I'm sure we'll be talking about all the things Stanley Cup. And I know that Droid's going to be happy because I know he's a Panthers fan. And having him see his team hoist that Stanley's Cup in the air for the first time in their franchise's history, I'm sure that will make him, just like Playmaker, very happy. Well, if you want to be part of Shift Nation, just go to BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. Just go there and you can comment right there. And if you have a comment that's worthy to be read, it will be read on air by yours truly. That is the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. You can catch this live and you'll be part of Shift Nation. And speaking of nation, now, where I work, we have been preparing for the death of Jimmy Carter for the last, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, 3 years. And seemingly every time I've done a weekend shift, my colleagues have said, okay, so whenever he passes away, I want you to have this story printed, and I want you to have this story sent out digitally. And he is still alive and he's still kicking. And why is that? In today's program Spotlight, we'll touch on the hospice care that seems to have really sustained one former President Jimmy Carter in ways that we never pictured possible. Again, that's today's program Spotlight, and we'll touch on that right now. Now, the president that presided over the country from 1977 to 1981. He had a rough go of it when he was in office. And then when he got out of office, he sort of tapped into what he became known for, which was basically a mediator and a peacemaker. And he had a presence in politics and basically in international affairs, where he was that, I guess, that voice of calm and that voice of reason. Well, now he is in hospice care and has been that way for a good minute, about a year and some change. The former president, now he's been in hospice care for 16 months or so. For him, it will be an outlier, and he would be the outlier, but it also highlights the multifaceted nature of end-of-life care. And it basically just poo-poos and dispels all myths possible about care of that nature. Now, in 4 months, the former president will be 100 years of age. Man, just think about that. 100 years of age. And he entered hospice care in February of last year after deciding to discontinue aggressive treatment for metastatic melanoma, which for layman's terms, skin cancer, or a kind of skin cancer, basically. Despite his decision, his surviving the disease for more than 5 years at his advanced age should be considered a success. Dr. Joan Tino, a former hospice provider and expert in generic care, has this to say about that. Quote, President Carter is an outlier in that only a small percentage of hospice patients survive more than 15 months. The fact that he has lived so long in hospice is his testament, to his excellent medical care at home and, if I had to guess, his will to live. Close quote. I agree with that, but it also illustrates the core focus of hospice, which really is typically geared toward people with an anticipated life expectancy of 6 months or less, for whom curing their underlying illness is not really an option. The approach emphasizes symptom management, mostly and most notably for pain and quality of life, according to the Hospice Foundation of America. They had, Angela Novas, the organization's senior medical officer, told UPI in an email this, quote, while Hospice Foundation of America has worked for more than 40 years to educate people about the many benefits of hospice care, most Americans don't engage in advanced care planning and knowing little about care options at the end of life. Because of that, there's a lot of confusion and misunderstanding about what hospice care is, the care it provides, who qualifies for it, and how to access care, close quote. More than 90% of patients who enter hospice care die within the first 6 months, and nearly 40% die within the first week. And according to the National Institutes of Health, since entering hospice, though, President Carter's 99th birthday, the death of his wife, of Rosalind Carter, of 77 years, and was even able, with assistance, to attend her funeral. Dr. Tino says this, quote, I suspect that President Carter is following the disease trajectory of metastatic melanoma, which leads to progressive fragility, where he needs help in his everyday functions and uses a wheelchair, close quote. Citing recent interviews with his family, the former president is likely spending most of his days sleeping, she says. In general, hospice patients who are, quote, not alert and sleeping more, close quote, or close to dying, Tino says. And also, she's also an adjunct professor of health services, policy, and practice at Brown University School of Public Health. She goes on to say, quote, about 2/3 of these patients drift peacefully to sleep as they die. And I suspect that's what's happening right now, close quote. Now, the nuts and bolts of hospice vary by patient, but most providers adhere to Medicare guidelines and engage in a multidisciplinary team of health professionals trained to address the physical, psychosocial, and spiritual needs of patients with terminal illnesses. Now, they also provide support to family members at other other intimate, unpaid caregivers, according to the Hospice Foundation of America. Teams typically include a hospice physician, a nurse, a medical social worker, a home health aide, and if applicable, a chaplain and or spiritual advisor. Foundation also says that services include medication for symptom control, including pain relief, medical equipment such as a hospital bed, wheelchairs or walkers, and supplies such as oxygen, bandages, and catheters as needed. Many hospice patients receive physical and occupational therapy to maintain strength and mobility, as well as speech therapy pathology services, so that they can continue to communicate. They also receive dietary counseling, which debunks, quote, one of the most unhelpful myths, close quote, about hospice care that provides the limited nutritional and fluids and or refuse to treating illnesses such as infections, which may occur while in hospice care to the speed of dying process. Now, Novas says, quote, that simply isn't true. She goes on to say, in some cases, quote, as part of the natural dying process, appetite diminishes significantly, and patients frequently either refuse food and fluids, which I've seen that myself, or they simply can't swallow safely without coughing or choking or aspirating food and fluids into their lungs. And that normally will result in pneumonia, close quote. However, for as long as patients like Carter can tolerate food and fluids and find eating pleasurable, they are typically offered small portions of their favorite meals when asked. Novas goes on to say, quote, at the end of life, hospice and family caregivers typically go with the flow of the day, which is dictated by how the hospice patient is doing. And it's likely that Mr. Carter has good days and bad days with waxing and waning of symptoms and abilities, close quote. Although she doesn't know specifics of the former president's daily regimen, on bad days, he may sleep for most of that day with little interaction with family or caregivers and have a poor appetite. Now, on good days, he may be alert, ask for food, and he might be able to get out of bed and be engaged in life. Novas said, quote, we have seen many photos of him during the time he has received hospice and doing just that. And the hospice providing his care is highly focused on helping those opportunities happen. Many hospice patients enjoy the good days or hours reminiscing with family and friends, reading, watching their favorite films or TV shows, or even enjoying music, close quote. Being in hospice, that means Carter, like others like him, facing terminal illnesses, are able to stay at home in comfort, surrounded by loved ones, according to the Hospice Foundation of America. The service is provided primarily in the patient's home, whether that is a private residence, nursing home, or community living arrangement. Hospice practitioners believe that being at home is the best for people at the end of life, both for reasons of comfort as well as the reduced risk of hospital-acquired infections, which can add to suffering and reduce life expectancy. Still, hospice care providers are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to respond if the patient needs care. Most of the patients, I should say, are eligible for Medicare, which covers all aspects of end-of-life care. In addition, many commercial health insurance plans offer hospice benefit, but the extent to which they cover care and services may vary. Novas concludes by saying, quote, certainly Mr. Carter's choice to elect hospice care versus feudal treatment has shown a spotlight on the value of hospice and palliative care and the important role it has in our health care system. By outliving his initial prognosis and by receiving hospice care for over a year now, he has done much to dispel the myth that hospice is only for those who are bedbound and actively dying. Well, no matter when the former president passes away, our prayers are with him and his family. And we hope and we pray that his life is comfortable no matter what time of day it is, no matter what activity he's doing. with what he has done for the world and what he's done for our lives. That is the least we all can ask for and pray for with him. So from one person who is a fan of President Carter to the former president, thank you for everything you've done. And I'm sure when you get to the pearly gates, you will hear the term, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." And that is today's program spotlight. Now, if you want to hear topics similar to this, I have a really good show for you. Join my brother, my mentality brother, Wise Alefe, and a guest, as he will interview someone who will inspire you to understand that life continues to go on and is vibrant and it has vitality to it, no matter what walk of life that person may come from. Join those two, or join Wise and whatever guest he may have, in Stuck in My Mind podcast that comes live yesterday, today, and tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central on Roku TV via BS3 and the Stuck in My Mind podcast YouTube channel. That is Stuck in My Mind podcast. Catch Wise and an interviewee live every Monday, every Tuesday, and every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central on Roku TV. You just hit that BS3 logo on the Roku TV app, bs3tvlive.com, and the Stuck in My Mind podcast YouTube channel. Coming up next, the Olympic Games in Paris. We need air conditioners there? You're watching The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. You are listening to The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on Real Wise Radio. We'll be right back right after this. The moderator.
As woman, you can't be too friendly, because the minute you're friendly, then they think you're flirting.
The level head.
I think so that thing is over. So I'm not looking at men like that anymore.
The truth slayer.
Okay, what in the HPV yeast infection is going on over here?
The X factor.
So I'd rather you tell me everything up front and let's start fresh.
The intersection of life and spirituality never sounded this good. BS3 Network proudly presents Life Happens live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Kentucky, home of great natural scenery and Churchill Downs. The Bluegrass State has offered 3 jewels. The University of Kentucky.
And the Kentucky coronation is complete.
Terry Brown.
Some people from Louisville, from Kentucky, I don't like the Derby. Okay, cool. Like, all right, I'm going to keep it moving.
And Vinny Hardy.
Us growing up on the border, we all went to school with Tennessee fans. We all had some teachers that was Tennessee fans.
BS3 Network proudly presents 2 men with Kentucky on their minds and all of the sports matters at hand. Cats Talk Wednesday, live every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
So, sit back, tune in, tell a friend. This Dope Cooking Show, we about to get started, and it's about to go down. Check me out.
Join your culinary master of ceremonies, Chef Jeff, as he introduces to you This Dope Cooking Show. Live every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m.
Central.
Welcome back to BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. Again, we're live on the BS3 Network, BS3TVLive.com. We're also live at BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson's YouTube channel. We're also live at the partners that carry it on YouTube as well. And we're also live on radio, Realwise Radio Network, that to be exact. And Shifter, I'm so glad that you have started your day with me, and I'm glad I've started my day with you. And starting my day is also, and I'm so glad that the Shift Nation is starting their day with me as well. Snowman says, yes, that is correct. 10 a.m. Eastern is when they're going to get going. And they got a lot to cover, of course. I mean, there's a lot to cover. The Olympics is a month away. They now just wrapped the NHL season. Of course, the WNBA is in full swing. And then you got the NFL that is a month away from training camp. So, yeah, that's a lot. And then there's some baseball talk too, especially some people who seemingly cannot stop abusing PEDs, but I digress. Playmaker says, look, wonderful job, Panthers. 2 clapping hand emojis, 2 strong arm emojis. Stanley's Cup is back in the rightful state of Florida. For those who don't know, the Tampa Bay Lightning has held it a few times in recent memory, and well, now the Lightning is not holding it. It's on the other side of the state. Victor Lock 83 or VLock 83, I should say, or Victor Lock or Vicala says, good morning, Shifter Nation, or good morning, Shift Nation. What's up to the super villain Espresso McCoffee, the super hacker, the playmaker, the Kingpin Snowman, and the EP of all EPs, Cole Johnson. And thank you. This is the Ed McMahon of the Snowman in the Morning broadcast, Victor Locke. And I'm glad everything is good with you. I'm looking forward to hear what you all have to say later on this morning in terms of all things sports. And speaking of all things sports, the playmaker says, yes, I'm going to be covering the Olympics. That's what's going to be on. That's what's going to be on first. I should say in order of times schedule. It's Olympics first, then bearing down the gridiron, which both happen in late July, sir. But he says it might actually be delayed to early August. Okay, all right. But I remember we talked about you doing bearing down the gridiron in July. I figured, you want to do Olympics too, and well, hey. But you covered many sports before and in many times of the year at the same time of the year. Hey, it's understandable. But I'm glad you mentioned the word Olympics because, well, the next Olympiad will be in Paris. It will take place 31 days from today. The opening ceremonies will take place July 26th in Paris. But the infrastructure is saying we might need to have air conditioners sent there. In today's cover story, we're going to touch on if the infrastructure in the Olympic Village is, shall I say, antiquated? Gosh, in 2024, I hope not. However, that seems to be the case coming down the pike right now. And why is that, you may ask? I'm so glad you did. So here we are, 1 month away from being in the Olympiad. And as part of a wide-ranging effort to make the Olympic Games more eco-friendly, the Paris 2024 organizers say that the Olympic Village that houses athletes, it would be constructed without any air conditioning. But as the Paris Games near and fears of a summer heat wave linger, some visiting countries have decided to bring their own air conditioning units instead. U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee Chief Executive Officer Sarah Hirshland, she confirmed on Friday that the U.S. will join a host of other countries in providing portable air conditioning for their athletes in the Olympic Village. Now, while the move appears to undercut Paris organizers' sustainability efforts, Hirschland describes it as an important factor for athletes that could signify impact and significantly impact their performance at the game, saying, quote, "We have great respect for the work that's been done by the Paris Organizing Committee in particular and their focus on sustainability. As you can imagine, this is a period of time in which consistency and predictability is critical for Team USA's performance. In our conversations with athletes, this was a very high priority and something that the athletes felt was a critical component in their performance capability." Close quote. Now, the IOC, or the International Olympic Committee, has become increasingly aware or cognizant of the environmental impact of the Olympic Games. For example, people were saying that the games that were held in Beijing back in, I want to say 2008, had the fear of pollution. They did their best to scurry to make the air clean before the Olympiad came there, and then there were reports that pollution infiltrated the air after the Olympics were over in Beijing. In recent years, it has worked with local organizers to limit wastefulness and energy usage. And I remember this actually happening in Rio in 2016 by using more existing venues instead of building temporary ones, or using clean energy to fuel the buses that transport athletes and fans. Paris has attempted to take those sustainability efforts to another level by halving, I should say, the carbon emissions of its Summer Games predecessors, which has emitted an average of 3.5 million tons of carbon dioxide. As part of this plan, Paris built the Olympic Village with a more environmentally friendly geothermal cooling system rather than traditional air conditioning. The organizing committee has said the system will keep the athletes' rooms at least 10 degrees cooler than outside temperatures and no warmer than the high 70s at night. Jan Krasinski, who oversees the delivery of venues and infrastructure for Paris in 2024, told Reuters earlier this year, quote, "We designed these buildings so that they would be comfortable places to live in the summer in 2024 and later. We don't need air conditioning in these buildings because we oriented the facades so that they wouldn't get too much sun during the summer. And the facades, the insulation is really efficient." Close quote. The village's cooling system has not quelled concerns from athletes and national Olympic committees, however, and that's prompted several countries to arrange their own AC units to be brought, and energy consumptions be darned. The Washington Post reported that Australia, Canada, Denmark, Great Britain, Greece, Italy are some of the countries among the large Olympic delegations who will provide AC for their athletes when they get to Paris. Alexandra Pali, the president of the Greek Olympic Committee for Environmental Sustainability, told the newspaper, quote, "We will bring them and we will take them back to Greece. They need support because what they do is very difficult anyway," close quote. A Paris 2024 spokesperson did not immediately reply to an email seeking comment on countries planning to bring their own units to town. The Paris Games will run from July 26th through August 10th, which is one of the hottest times of the year in the region. The city's hottest day on record was 5 years ago, July 25th of 2019, when temperatures soared to 108 degrees. Researchers at the University of Portsmouth in the United Kingdom are among those who expressed concerns about a potential heat wave with Paris this year, citing the heat and humidity at the previous Summer Games, which took place in Tokyo back in 2021, and the impact of climate change. According to a report released earlier this month, the annual temperatures in Paris have warmed by more than 3 degrees over the past century, which the city experiencing an average of 9 more, quote, scorching, close quote, days, defined as north of 86 degrees per year. And all I have to say about that is, well, I hope they can really get excited for what's to come, and I hope they can treat the athletes with the respect they deserve. And that is today's cover story. Now, if you want to have delicious food, learn how to prepare that delicious food and actually have a wonderful, warm personality engage with you in how to prepare it. Join my man, Chef Jeff, on This Dope Cooking Show. You can catch him live later today at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central on Roku TV via BS3, This Dope Cooking Show YouTube channel, and the BS3 Network YouTube channel. Again, join Chef Jeff as he performs whatever dish that he may have with his culinary mastery. This Dope Cooking Show, you catch him live later today and every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central on Roku TV. You can hit the BS3 logo on the Roku TV app, BS3TVLive.com, the This Dope Cooking Show YouTube channel, and the BS3 Network YouTube channel. And also, you can stay on BS3 and watch Mika, Alicia, Nicole, and King Doc as they touch on topics both spiritual and ear to the street variety, relationships, and relationship with God. Whatever comes, those four will tackle it. Join those four and sometimes a guest as well as they rule over the BS3 Network. Catch them on the Queen 3 and King podcast live tonight and every Tuesday, or I should say this evening and every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on Roku TV via BS3, the BS3 YouTube channel, the BS3 Facebook page, and the Queen 3 King 59 Podcast 59 YouTube channel. That's Queen 3 King live tonight and every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on Roku TV. You can hit the BS3 logo on the Roku TV app, BS3TVLive.com, the BS3 Network YouTube channel, the BS3 Network Facebook page, and the Queen 3 King Podcast 59 YouTube channel. Coming up next, confidence and faith. How do they intertwine? Why is it important? And can you achieve both? This is the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. You're catching it live on BS3 Morning Shift, Cole Johnson's YouTube channel, BS3TVLive.com, and the Real Wise Radio Network. We'll be right back right after this. This is a BS3 Network presentation. Adrian Shawan.
There was a man talking about where the homebodies at, where the women at, and the women was stitching it and was like, we at home.
Scotty Knox.
Another pet peeve of mine, right? First date, if you show up with the ponytail that come out at the top of your head, it will not be a second date.
Butler.
I want people to think independently and freely. She's not. $100 for lunch. I almost got up and walked off.
A show that asks only one question. Is it Wednesday yet? Live every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central.
See everybody talking like they doing what we doing, but these brothers is rare and they ain't moving like we moving, and everywhere we go.
Oh, yes. The tradition, the pageantry, the spectacle, the history, the slut. Wait. I gotta rep my brother's stuff right. All my DMV soldiers, stand up! And welcome to the Commander's Gridiron Report. You want your commanders to be repped right? Well, D. Willie is your man. Commander's Gridiron Report. Every Tuesday at 11:05 a.m. Eastern, 10:05 a.m. Central on the Sotoba Media YouTube channel. Music by J. Cool.
Where my soldiers? Right side. Commanders. Where my soldiers? Left side.
Are you looking for something to do on your lunch break? Well, there's a show on the BS3 Network that has only 4 words to say to you.
We ready. We ready. We ready.
The Lunch Break, powered by JM&E. Live weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. You saw the commercial? It is worth repeating. Catch my man AJ and his host of other co-hosts and different days, but it's going to be him today and every day live. The Lunch Break, powered by JM&E, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central on Roku TV via BS3 and the Jones Media and ENT YouTube channel. That is The Lunch Break, powered by JM&E, live 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central on Roku TV. Just hit the BS3 logo on the Roku TV app, BS3TVLive.com, and the Jones Media and ENT YouTube channel. Well, welcome back to the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. I'm so glad that you're here. We are live on the BS3 Network. We are live on Real Wise Radio. And speaking of Real Wise Radio, my brother, Wise El Jefe, making appearances. Says hello, everyone. I hope everything is good with you in your world, my brother. And well, we do a show called Mentality. You can catch it on the BS3 Network every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central. And oh my goodness, my brother has a thing for Boston. I don't know why it is. My man Dustin, I passed along word to Ryan. I'm glad that I could say this to you. He says, yeah, that was a tough game 7. Congrats to the Panthers. Good morning, all. And congratulations to your Oilers, because they battled, they fought, they scrapped, they scratched, they clawed. But looks like the future's looking really good for your Oilers, brother. So congratulations to the Edmonton Oilers. It is good to see you, man. It's good to see you. Playmaker says, King Petty is in the building. Wise all. What's good, bro? And Ryan, who I love dearly because he gets exactly what I'm thinking. And he says things in a way that my brain is thinking it, but at the time it just can't come out my mouth. So he says, so let me get this straight. If you know there's going to be increased heat and humidity and there's concern about the athlete's well-being, why are you holding the games in July? And I'll add another question to that, Ryan. So you hold a tournament, you hold a Grand Slam tournament in tennis every late May and early June. And Paris is not the coolest place in the world, but it's not the warmest place either. And there are plenty of times where in June they say that the heat gets to the tennis players. So if that's the case, why hold the Olympiad in the hottest time of the year there? But I guess that's how they get down. I don't know why. Same thing happened in Tokyo. But I mean, it didn't happen in Rio because the Olympiad actually happened in their winter. So their winter and early spring. So there you go. Cool McCain in the house. It's a Shift Nation. What it do? I mean, I'm glad to see you. Great job last night on Monarchs of Wrestling, brother. I appreciate it. And if you want to catch him, Monarchs of Wrestling every Monday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Eagles Elite podcast every Wednesday at 8:30 Eastern. Play Call Sports Talk every Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The man is busy. The man is busy. What I can say to you about all these people in Shift Nation, they all have confidence in what they do. And it is important that you do have confidence in any and everything you take on. They also have faith in what they're doing. So why is that important? I'm glad you asked that question, because that is what's on tap for today's Lighting the Way. So you're probably asking yourself, wait a minute, Cole. Faith and confidence, they don't really align. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They align more intertwined. They're more intertwined than you could possibly actually think. The reason being is when you talk about confidence and you look at it in the definition, look at it in any Webster's dictionary, it actually says the belief in something. And what is faith? Faith is belief. It's belief in God, basically, but it's belief. You believing something. And so when you get the opportunity to be honed in with belief and honed in with faith, you get confidence that you can attack something that you probably couldn't beforehand, but you can attack it now because you have the faith to back up the confidence that you have. And that's important. And the reason why it's important is I think in today's times, I think we, and I do mean we, and I'm grouping myself in the we, can lack that confidence from time to time. We look at how life is and we look at how life proceeds and we think, well, I don't know if I have the capacity, the compunction, the ability, the strength, the mental acuity, the testicular fortitude to achieve all of this. But God says, yes, you do. Jesus says you most certainly do. And the teacher in Hebrews says you do. And in the first 3 verses of chapter 11 in the book of Hebrews, the teacher says it this way. Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. For by it the people of old received their commendation. By faith we understand the universe was created by the word of God, so that what is seen was not made out of things that are visible. In the words of Cisco, let me say it again. Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. For by it the people of old received their commendation. By faith we understand that the universe was created by the word of God, so that what is seen was not made out of things that are visible. Father God, in the name of Jesus, I thank you for this word, and I thank you for this gathering. For your word says when 2 or 3 are gathered together in your name, you'll be in the midst. So be in the midst in with my shifters and myself, as none of me comes in what I'm about to say, and all of you is represented in what comes out of my mouth. And may the words of my mouth and meditation of my heart be always acceptable in your sight. Oh Lord, you are my rock, my strength, and my redeemer. In Jesus' name, amen. Now, you probably heard the first verse said, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. You probably heard it that way more often than what I said. But think about that. Think about that. Faith, now that we've heard that, we walk by faith and not by sight, because basically faith is something that is like air. You can't really grab onto it and hold it like a person or a thing or an object. But in this verse 1 of chapter 11 of Hebrews, it says faith is something that is attainable and is something you can grab onto. It is something you can hold onto. How powerful is that? How powerful is that? Now, you may ask the question, well, what's another way of describing faith? The confidence, that's it right there. When you know that you can grab onto faith and you can literally hold on to faith, and you can have the conviction of not seeing faith, but you have the understanding that you're holding on to it, that's confidence. You have confidence in God. You have confidence in yourself. When you let go of yourself and you have God tap into you, you have the confidence that you can walk into any room, walk into any situation, be in any way, at work, at home, with family, with friends, and you can represent the highest form of yourself as you possibly can when you divorce yourself and you have God or Jesus represent you. That's confidence. And when you hear, for by it the people of old received the commendation, think about when you are having conversations with your grandmother or grandfather, and you see that conversation that you have with them, and you understand that you have a connection with them, and they make you feel like the most important thing in the world. At least that's how my grandmother made me feel. It makes me feel even to this moment. That's how my mother-in-law makes me feel. That's how my father has always made me feel. So when they get to that age, and then you throw the platitudes upon them, and then someone else who has had the blessing of that wonderful person of old, and I don't want to say of old, I want to say a person who is mature, when they show platitudes toward them and respect toward them, and when another does it, and another, watch the countenance of that wisdom pole. That's what I call my mother-in-law, my father, my grandmother. Watch their countenance. They feel blessed. That's their commendation they're receiving, because they have had the faith of roaming through life. They have seen it all. They have done it all. And they're now on the other side, and they're saying, there's stuff that you're sweating over thinking that it's the end of the world. And I now have the ability to say on this side of life, that's nothing. You will get through that just fine, just like you got through the other hurdles just fine. That's the accommodation that the people of old receive. That's the commendation they receive. Because when you get that wisdom, when you get that pearl, you can walk through life, and you can walk through that, and you can hurdle over something that the age that you are now, and the people that are around you there are around similar ages, they're looking at you and you're saying, well, how did you scale that mountain? How did you speed that mountain and moved? How did you hurl over it? And you can say it back to them. This was wisdom that my father or my mother or my grandmother or my grandfather passed along to me, and man, I'm glad I got it. Otherwise, I would not have had whatever was the mental block unlock. So why is faith tied to confidence? When you have individuals that I just mentioned breathe life into you, when you have God who does the same thing, when you have Jesus who does the same thing, breathe life into you. Life. That's why faith is tied to confidence. Because you get the ability to do things in ways that are beyond your own strength, your own power, your own might. Athletes is a wonderful example. You see them. Yeah, they practice and they go over and over and over all those things in practice, so that when they go through game time, it's like muscle memory. And then they say sometimes they get into, quote, a zone, close quote. That zone basically means they're doing something outside of their own physical capability, that something else is taking over them, and that they have the confidence that no matter what they shoot or what they throw or what they catch or how they run or how they block or how they tackle or how they dunk or how they block or how they shoot with goals, no matter what they do, they can stop whatever comes to them, or they can score however they can. And it is a free-flowing thing where they're not doubting whatever it is that's coming into them. It's like, okay, I believe it. So here we go. So how's God tied to confidence? How is he related to confidence? Remember, Jesus says that his peace he gives to us. Remember, he said that in the Bible. There's also scripture that says, greater is he that's within me than he is in the world. You know why that's said? That's said because that's the power of what Jesus can provide for you. Another scripture that I've heard, and I remember it being said somewhat, not fully, but Muhammad Ali, when he won the heavyweight championship of the world 60 years ago for the first time, he said not necessarily exactly the scripture, but he basically said, when with God with me, who could be against me? If God is for me, who can be against me? If that doesn't speak to confidence tied to God, I don't know what does. If God is for you, who can be against you? Nobody. Not the devil, not anybody who's on earth, not any force that's on earth. Nothing can be against you if God is for you. And if that doesn't imbue you with confidence, I don't know what does. I know it does for me. So when, and you probably asking yourself your question, Cole, when is confidence something we all must have? When? When you wake up in the morning, when you go to sleep at night, when you walk about your day, when you go to work and you perform the functions of work, when you go home and you spend time with family, when you have conversations with a friend, a family member, a stranger. In essence, every part of the time, all the time, you should always have confidence that God is there for you. Remember, if God is for you, who could be against you? And greater is you, or greater is he that's in you than he is in the world. Walk with God. Remember, we are supposed to walk by faith and not by sight. We're not supposed to walk by what we see. We're supposed to walk by what we believe. And the biggest thing we can believe in is the great I am believes in you more than any other force, any other being, and any other person can ever believe in you. And if you can't have confidence in that, then you just don't want to have confidence at all. Well, that's all the time I have. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm glad that you have welcomed me on this journey and walked with me on this journey. And before I go, Shift Nation, one more time, here I am. Cool says, appreciate it. Appreciate the love. Says, and what's good, all my fam? Everything's good, brother. I'm glad you're here. And Ryan says, look, shifters, you might get a bonus edition of Lighting the Way tonight on No Credentials Required as we review The Iron Claw. And that's actually a wrestling movie that's focused on the Von Erich family. Thank you so much for liking, for sharing, for subscribing, and for hitting that notification bell so you can catch all content that comes from The Morning Shift, the BS3 Morning Shift YouTube channel. And oh, by the way, if you want to catch this live, if you're not catching this live and you want to, join me every morning, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That's The Morning Shift live on Roku TV via BS3 and the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. That's BS3 Presents The Morning Shift for Cole Johnson live every weekday, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central on Roku TV. Hit the BS3 logo on the Roku TV app, BS3TVLive.com, and the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. For everybody here at the BS3 Network, everybody here on the Morning Shift, and everybody in Real Wise Radio too, I'm Cole Johnson, here to say in parting, as I always do, if you lack commitment, you will not start. If you lack consistency, you will not finish. And if you lack love, my friend, you most certainly will never conquer. Until we meet again, 23-hour shifter, I love you. God bless. Take care of yourself. And understand, walk in the power of being a blessing, because that's exactly what and who you are. So long, everybody.